This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Good evening. Welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bolinger alongside Running Rebels head coach Marvin Menzies, just back from Albuquerque after a Sunday game that saw the Rebels fight back in it and then a wild play to close it out.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. It was fun to coach. Awesome environment. I mean, the folks in Albuquerque had nothing to do today. I think they went to church in the morning and they all decided to meet up at the pit. Really, really loud environment. Probably the best environment we've been in this year in conference for sure. So it was an exciting game to coach. Unfortunately, we didn't get the finish we wanted, but I was very pleased with the progress from the aberration a couple of weeks ago, or whenever that game was at San Diego State. I thought we made an improvement against Fresno State. Not enough to win, and then again, another step forward, but yet not enough to win. But we just got to keep getting better.
Well, let's start looking at this one a little more closely, where the Rebels went to Albuquerque for a Sunday 11 a.m. Pacific time start.
The pit was rocking, creating a hostile road environment for the Running Rebels as two old friends, Marvin Menzies and Paul Weir, met once again. The Lobos jumped out of the gate in a hurry. Joe Furstinger blocks a shot, and that would start transition. On the other end, Dane Kuiper drains a three, and it was 11-3 New Mexico early. UNLV got back in an offensive rhythm. Chris Clyburn hit a triple. Jordy Johnson with the pass in midair to Mbake Jong, who goes glass. And when Shakur Houston got this bucket in the lane, the Rebels had a 9-0 run to take the lead. New Mexico answered with a 7-0 run of their own as Furstinger gets the and one, and Sam Logwood muscles his way for two. Johnson was feeling it all game long, the floater and the baseline jumper as things remained tight. 11 minutes into the game, JoJo Maury tweaked his ankle and he went to the locker room. Amari Hardy would pick up the minutes, and here he alley-oops over to Chekna Dembele. The officials would call a ton of fouls in this one, especially out on the perimeter, which had both coaches frustrated, and Weir was very demonstrative, but no technicals. Late first half, off the inbounds pass, the feed to Jung, and he quick passes it to a cutting Houston for the slam. Then just before the horde, the three-quarter length pass and quick feed to Hardy for the lay-in, but the Rebels were down 42-41 at the break. The Lobos had an early 8-0 run in just over a minute, capped by this triple by Anthony Mathis. That would open the lead to 11 and force Menzies to call a timeout. That would settle the Rebels down, and they worked back in it. Jordy hit a three. On the long rebound, Hardy pushes it to Johnson for the reverse lay-in. And on the break, the pass ahead to Houston for two. Johnson, the drive and dish to Brandon McCoy. He throws it down. The loose ball, and watch Tervel Beck snatch it and head the other way for the flush. And the long outlet from Johnson to Clyburn for the lay-in. UNLV was clicking, and the stage was set for a wild finish. Under 4 to go. Big play as McCoy is originally called for the charge, but the review showed Furstinger was inside the arc. It was a hoop and a harm. Furstinger fouled out, and the completed three-point play gave the Rebels the lead. The Lobos answered. Makua Malawa drives baseline for the slam, but Johnson would hit a big three to give UNLV an 85-83 lead with under 3 to go. Fast forward now to a minute left. Malawa gets the inside bucket to tie things up. Mooring does what he does best, getting the defender in the air, and JoJo is fouled on a three-point attempt. He would make 2 of 3 for a 90-88 Rebel lead with 30 seconds on the clock. New Mexico turns to Malawa again. He nails a triple to give the Lobos the lead back. Last chance for UNLV, 10 seconds to go out of the timeout. Johnson drives and kicks it out to Clyburn. The three won't go. The Rebels get 2 chances at the tip, and the final one rolls off the rim at the buzzer. Watch the replay now, and you can see Maury get absolutely leveled as he goes for the tip. But in a game with so many whistles, the referees swallow theirs in the end. New Mexico wins it 91-90.
I followed it up. I thought I had a really good chance of getting us, a win on that one, but I thought I got hammered on the play. Unfortunately, there was no whistle blown, so on to the next game.
Let's begin with the end. That last play, you were able to take the timeout and set something up. Take us through what you designed and what you saw on the floor.
Well, we had a ball screen in the middle that was supposed to give Jordy the opportunity to get down. We put Brandon on the baseline, and we were going to hopefully get Brandon's man to help up and see if we could get him in that, what we call the dunker spot. But they all converged on that, and so we wanted our 2 guards to fan out and be available if they did that, and they did, and so we had a wide open shot. Unfortunately for all of us, it didn't fall. But then we had, 2 tips at the rim, and the basketball guys just weren't with us from all sides of that after the shot got taken.
Now, I know you can't talk specifically about officiating in certain plays. It was clear.
I'm glad you know that. I'm glad you know that.
It was clear, though, that JoJo was pretty much pummeled as he went in for that tip-in. From a coaching staff around college basketball standpoint, how many plays a week do you guys cut and send to the league office and the head of officials for this area, Bobby Dibbler?
Well, I'll send Bobby a few. We don't want to over-inundate them so that they don't really help the officials to get better. We don't want to. It's not about sending him emotional ones that could have went either way. You want to send clear and concise footage that gives the officials a chance to learn and get better.
Well, let's turn our attention to Wednesday night, where Fresno State came to the Thomas and Mack as the Runnin' Rebels tried to pick up a win at home.
The Runnin' Rebels were looking for a fast start against Fresno when they scored the first 4 points of the game. Jordy Johnson with the lob inside to McCoy for the bucket, and Shakur Houston down low for the lay-in. But the Bulldogs scored the next 7 points, and UNLV never had the lead again in this game. Sam Bittner with the triple. Then the steal by Deshaun Taylor, and he heads the other way for 2. That forces a Marvin Menzies timeout, and UNLV was in an early 25-12 hole more than 12 minutes in. There was a quick response. JoJo Mooring drives for the hoop, and Houston works inside for another to get things back into single digits. But there were a lot of turnovers and a lot of lapses throughout the first half. Jerron Hopkins is trapped, but he eventually finds an open look for the basket. Bryson Williams goes right around the defense for the easy 2, and just before the half, Ray Bowles scores as UNLV was down 43-30 at the break. In the second half, every time UNLV did something, Fresno responded. McCoy beats the shot clock, but Hopkins would drive on the other end for the bucket and the foul. Jordy misses the corner 3, and Houston is there for the big follow slam, but Bittner would hit another triple. Amari Hardy drives and dishes to McCoy for the hoop and the harm. But there were too many plays like this. The Rebels fumble the ball away. The long outlet up to Hopkins for the emphatic slam. UNLV struggled shooting, only 29.8% from the floor. They also had 17 turnovers in a game where they just couldn't get anything to fall. Fresno State comes in and wins it 77-64.
We was trying to make the right play, or we was moving too fast. We just got to go watch film and, just study the mistakes and execute them next game.
The key stat that we talked about there in the piece that jumped off of the thing was 17 field goals made, 17 turnovers. You say that back to any coach, they're going to say we probably didn't win the game.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the recipe for disaster there. We had, I think, 11, maybe 10 or 11 at the half, and it just it wasn't a good vibe as a coach either. Sometimes you feel not helpless, but you feel a little like, okay, let me sub in this guy, and then that is the same mistake that the other guy made, and it's kind of like, all right, let's settle down and get back on track here and think about what we need to do to win the game.
Let's put this week to bed, and we're going to look ahead to this upcoming week, the final week of the regular season in the Mountain West. We're going to preview it right after this in the Red Zone.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
2 games left in the Mountain West regular season. A lot at stake in terms of seeding as the Runnin' Rebels host rival UNR on Wednesday night and then travel to Logan to take on Utah State on Saturday.
Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, the Runnin' Rebels will look to sweep rival UNR. On February 7th in Reno, UNLV put together a solid 40 minutes and won a huge game 86-78. The UNR did not have star player Caleb Martin, who sat out with an injury. Without Martin, the Rebels were able to do much more offensively and defensively. JoJo Maureen had 31 points and Shakur Houston had 19 to go along with 12 rebounds. UNLV will need similar performances. As for the rivalry, there was concern going into the first meeting that maybe the Rebel players hadn't bought into it. After listening to the fans in Reno, there is no doubt they get it now. The Wolfpack are certainly going to be out for revenge, and head coach Eric Musselman says it's more than state bragging rights.
I look up to UNLV. You know, it's one of the storied programs, and so it is a big deal. You know, and it's more of a big deal to our community and to our student body than maybe our locker room. Our locker room approaches every game like, you know, it's a must-win. Doesn't matter who we play. So I don't think we can put any more pressure on playing UNLV than we do a non-conference. Every game's of heightened magnitude.
On Saturday, UNLV plays its final regular season game of the year when they travel to Logan for a matchup with Utah State. Back on January 6th at Thomas and Mack, the Aggies stunned UNLV on both ends of the floor in an 85-78 win. Utah State is not a team that will dominate you inside. They make their money on the outside.
We are a perimeter-oriented team. I think we can shoot the three from 4 and sometimes 5 spots on the floor. You know, our job as coaches is to create pace, create space, and you know, the 3 ball's got to be good to us this year. We're trying to shoot as many quality 3-point shots as we can, and that's hard to do.
This will be another hostile environment. Logan isn't only one of the toughest places to play in the conference, it's one of the best in the country. The student section, known as the Herd, doesn't stop.
I know that oftentimes the opposing teams do not like being right next to the students where they're constantly chirping at them and such, so it's a lot of fun playing there. I'm glad I'm there.
Our crowd talks so much trash. I love it. From like as soon as they come down the tunnel, our crowd is starting.
This week is crucial to what UNLV's final seeding will be for the conference tournament. It could mean the difference of having to win 3 or 4 games to get the automatic bid. So in essence, the postseason starts now.
So obviously, anytime you see UNR in the schedule, that's a big game. We're here in the final week of the season. It's at home. You beat them up in Reno. It's an even bigger game for both teams, because I know that they definitely don't want to get swept by you guys.
No, they don't, and we definitely would like to get a sweep. So both teams are at a place where we've had hiccups. You know, they've had their injuries. We've had our issues, but there's nothing like playing a rivalry game. There's nothing like coaching a rivalry game. It's one of the reasons I do what I do. It's so much energy in the crowd, in the stands, I should say. The fans are, you know, rabid fans sometimes, and it's just a fun environment, and it makes for a very, very good entertainment. So I'm hopeful and optimistic we can get a bunch of our folks out to support us at the game.
Caleb Martin did not play in the first game up in Reno. He is back in the lineup. Consensus the best player on the team by most people who watch college basketball. Yeah. Preparation for him is going to be huge coming up to Wednesday.
Yeah, he might be the consensus best in the conference, not just even on Reno's team. He's big time. So it adds a different dynamic when Lindsey Drew out now, because you got, you know, Martin playing the point guard, and the ball's in his hand a little bit more, and that's not always a good thing when that guy can really do a lot with the ball. He's very talented, both he and his brother. And then Caroline is he's a beast, and I could go through the whole roster of the guys that can contribute at a very high level, and that's the reason they're in first place in the conference. So we've got to have that extra something. You know, they're going to bring it, and we're going to bring it, and you know, the best team will win.
All right, we're going to take a timeout right now. When we come back, we're going to feature the freshman Brandon McCoy. Stay with us. We're back in 2 minutes.
watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willie. Your home, your way.
He was a big-time recruit that chose UNLV, but there's a lot more to Brandon McCoy than just basketball. Take a look.
If you want to be the best, you got to be a fighter. If you want to be the best, you've got to show desire.
Brandon McCoy came into UNLV with a lot of expectations put on his 18-year-old shoulders. A five-star recruit, McDonald's All-American, and can't-miss NBA prospect. But it would be a shame if fans only got to see the basketball side of Brandon McCoy. He is so much more than that. More than basketball. More than just what you see on the hardwood. He's smart, funny, engaging, well-rounded, and courteous to a fault. And he's a mama's boy.
My mom was a really big influence on me, especially since she instilled hard work. Being in the Army, you know, having to go 9 months without seeing her because she was, you know, overseas in Egypt, you know, Japan, whatever, just making sure that my family as well as the nation was, you know, safe. And so she really rubbed off on me really well.
McCoy excels in school in a variety of subjects and is musically gifted as well.
Play the piano, guitar, marimba, trombone, drums.
He had his choice of where to go to college, but he fell in love with Las Vegas and head coach Marvin Menzies.
Coach Marvin is a really good person. Not only that, he's a good coach. And I really feel like I connected with him as well as the players that were here last year. And you know, it's a great city, and I just instantly connected here.
Since then, McCoy has worked non-stop in the classroom and on the court, soaking up everything he can. Teammate Shakur Justin has pushed him.
Shakur is a really great player. His basketball IQ is really good, especially in passing. He pushes me to another level, especially because he's a very great competitor. I see him rebound, playing defense, and, you know, passing, looking for others, and scoring. It makes me want to do the same thing.
But from the beginning, the NBA question has hung over his head.
I feel like everyone thinks about the NBA at some point in time. But, you know, right now I'm just focusing on getting better every day. I know that there's players in the NBA way better than me, and I know that I got a whole lot of work to put in if I want to play on that level.
Rebel fans have been holding their breath to find out if McCoy will come back for another year or enter the NBA draft. It's a decision he says he won't seriously ponder until the season is over, and then he'll consult those around him.
I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know. And it's just, I mean, I want to know myself, but like I said, whatever decision I make, I'm just going to hopefully it's the best decision for myself as well as my family.
In the meantime, fans can enjoy watching McCoy continue to grow on the court, and if they get the chance, see him grow off the court as well. Because when all is said and done, Brandon McCoy is adamant that he'll be remembered for being more than just a basketball player.
If you're only known for being a basketball player, I don't think you're really doing anything for the world, and I just want to be able to have people look at me when I'm gone to be like, man, even though he was a great basketball player, he was an even better person, very intelligent, just a loving and caring person. And, you know, that's really important because that's what people think of my mom, and I want to be just like my mom.
If you want to be the best, you've got to show desire.
Before we get to the basketball stuff, I want to talk about the kid because he is just a wonderful young man.
He really is. He's just a joy to be around. You know, when you walk next to him, or you're standing next to him, or you're talking to him in his immediate proximity, I mean, he's such a, you know, man, but yet he's still such a young man on the inside, growing and learning and developing and just eager to absorb knowledge.
How much growth have you seen from him on the court from when you guys got him here on campus to where we are right now?
Well, you know, there's been significant amount of growth, and I think that the main thing is when you come from high school, it's not just with Brandon, but with Amari and Nunu and Bake, all the guys, their expectations of what college is not always what college is. And so when you get here, especially on the floor, when Brandon is getting guarded by 2-3 people every single possession, he's found a way to not get as frustrated and try to continue to work through it.
We're going to take another break right now. We're coming back with the Running Rebel Plays of the Week right after this.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willie. Your home, your way.
All right, Coach, final home game of the regular season. It's senior night, 8 o'clock tip-off at the Thomas and Mack. Want to get the fans out there to support these guys.
Right, and I know it's a Wednesday, and I know it's midweek, but it's Reno coming to town, and we got to send off our guys with a bang. You know, both Jordy and JoJo, who said yes to UNLV, even though they're not four-year guys, are really special kids that have helped us win a lot of games and have also been real rebels while they're here. So it'd be great to have a lot of support for them on the way out.
Should be a good one. We hope to see you out of Thomas and Mack on Wednesday. Thanks for joining us on the RebZone. We leave you with the Running Rebel Plays of the Week. Good night.
Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show was presented by RC Willie. Your home, your way.